So I'm going to try to handle this as respectfully as I possibly can, given how sensitive this subject is. But I felt a need to talk about this subject in particular, especially for the pro choice Christians that are out there right now. So I wanted to talk about in the past nearly 2 weeks, Argentina passed a abortion law to allow legal abortions upwards to 14 weeks of conception. And this is my personal opinion and how I feel about this. Argentina, as just giving a little context, has been dealing with a lot of certain arrests because of abortions and criminalizing people for doing it illegally, and it was causing a uproar and an upcry where they're at, which caused them to pass this bill. And it caused a lot of celebration amongst people in Argentina and felt as a win. They also dropped all charges towards a few of the women who were arrested before the bill to kind of symbolize the passing of the bill. So now that I got that out the way, just giving the update of the news before I get into my personal opinion. And this is mainly aimed at the pro-choice Christians out there. I've heard few. It's a difficult subject for me, because of I understand the difficulties whether you are a rape victim or something with a family member, for instance, and every person is different, and you're gonna have different scenarios that it's a very, very tough situation, and by no means am I undermining the difficulties of what some people have gone through and are going through. But the numbers don't lie when it comes to just, to me, how messed up this is. Because it is. This isn't killing cells like they try to just make it seem like it's a clumps of cells. It's not alive. It's just an embryo. There's nothing living there. By 14 weeks is 3 months. By 3 months, the face has been formed. It's still being worked on, but it's formed. They have their fingertips, all of their fingers. You can tell the gender of a baby between 14 weeks and onwards, which means some people as early as 14 weeks can know the gender of a baby. So you're telling me that you can know what gender the baby is, but it's still counted as not alive and not human? That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. And what's disheartening was the statistics of abortions worldwide, in America, all of the above. So the numbers roughly worldwide in 2020 was 42.6 million. 42.6 million. Now, a lot of people, a lot of pro-choice people make the claim and saying, well, there's so much, a lot of people, we don't know what they're going through. We don't know if it's rape, and we don't know if it's this or that and all that. You can't tell me that a large percentage of 42.6 million people are from rape victims or incest or anything of that kind. You can't. You will be lucky if that number is between 5 to 10 million. Very lucky. I doubt it's 10. Like, you're not getting double digits out of that whatsoever. Like, realistically, you would be lucky to probably even have 3 million on that number, which by no means, 10 million, 10,000, 10 people. It shouldn't happen. It's something that we need better control on. We need better avenues to help people, better avenues to make sure this stuff doesn't happen, better ways to crack down on different things like this and traffickers or whatever it's going through that causes a high number of these problems. But I guarantee you that 42.6 million people, there isn't even a quarter of that. There isn't a sliver. There's probably 1%, if you can even reach 1% out of that whole number, that was caused by anything that's your main focal point of why abortion needs to be a thing. Which makes you go, well, what's the rest? What's the other reasons to why abortion nearly to birth from some places should be legal? What's the reason? I just it's disheartening to see that number so widely, and it was practically the same amount. It was 42.4 abortions in 2019. So we're just, it's that much. A 2-year period, you almost reached 100 million. Like that doesn't. There's no disheartening from any of the pro-choice Christians. Now, there's a lot of Christians that are pro-life. A lot of Christians that talk about these issues. It's not something that they just ignore. But I'm strictly talking to the pro-choice Christians because I honestly don't know what you're doing. What are you talking about? What do you mean when it's my body, my choice, all of that sort of stuff? Like what? That is not what God preached or Jesus preached. That is not God's word at all. I don't understand. And Jeremiah 1 verse 5, the Lord said, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I sanctified you. I ordained you a prophet to the nations. God knows everyone before you're born. God knew you. God knew your plan for you. God knew what he wants for your life. God knew the purpose of every baby, every child, every choice that could be made, that one baby can come into the world and help shape it in a better light, can help move people to God, can help shape a generation for good. And 42.6 million babies, because they're not clumps of cell, they're babies, had life and didn't get to live it. I'm sorry, but that's a fact. I stand by that 100%. There is no debate, there's no convincing me, there's no nothing. And any Christian that claims to be a Christian and that picks pro-choice and is okay with those numbers, I'm sorry, but there's something wrong in your heart. Something needs correcting. Something, you need to go and look at yourself. You need to pray a little bit more in that situation. Because that's not, no. And to show some of the facts, the statistics for yearly for what abortions were caused by rape, they had to lump in rape by either just a random person or a family member, anything of the sort, is between 30 to, at highest so far, 50,000 people. Now that's a lot. That's a big number. That statistic was for America only. So that's a large number. That's a big number. But when you run that and you run that statistic for a worldwide view, like I said, you're not scratching anywhere near 10 million. You're not. So by no means is this right. By no means am I going, oh, it's a low enough number that it's, it's whatever. No, that needs to be taken care of too. That needs focus too. The church needs to help people that are going through that too, especially because that's a hard situation. But you can't use that as almost this claim, this excuse to throw in front of people and to make people so timid that they don't want to talk about it, when really you don't even scratch, 3% of the 42.6 million people? The statistics, it's not undermining those people who were raped. It's saying that we use the excuse of throwing the people who were raped out in the front first so that you can do it on a worldwide scale to the point where abortions that probably would have been a few million at tops worldwide if you had exceptions for whether or not it was a health issue or certain things that were complicated and went wrong, different scenarios. You wouldn't be near anything in the 40 million range. I mean, you got to be kidding me. We're going to have 80 something, 90 million in 2 years. 90 million people. But we're just going to call them clumps of cells, because if you call them people, then if you call them cells, it doesn't matter. Then there's no weight. It's just a thing. And I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of how abortions are operated during certain trimesters, depending on how far along you are, because it's honestly sickening. But if you're a pro-choice Christian and you're just like, freedom of choice, it doesn't matter, the Bible doesn't say anything, or the Bible is kind of pick and choose, pick what you want to believe, whatever, I would highly recommend look it up. Look up the 4 weeks abortions, the 14 weeks, 20 weeks. Look up how they do it, please. Because I guarantee you wouldn't be able to sit through anything. You wouldn't be able to sit through reading any of it, let alone any of the educational videos of how they showed how it's done. I guarantee you. I put 10 people in a room who are Christians, who are pro-choice, would not be able to sit through a video and then look me in the face and tell me, yeah, I'm still pro-choice. No possible way. It's disheartening. It's honestly disheartening. I don't know what else to say about it. Most people want to go straight to the excuses almost. Well, the statistics don't lie. 42.6 million, and I'm going to leave you at that.